Sorry about that, gang. Apologies for that. I was running very late. So yeah, sorry about that. Hopefully everyone's okay. So yeah, that's my bad, guys. That's my bad. That is not the right. Whoops. Just not ready for this at all. It's my bad. I set the time up, but I had like just a little lie down. Like I didn't fall asleep, but just had to power myself a bit. I had a very not a long day, as in I mean it in a bad way, but like a very busy day. A very busy day. Let me put it that way. So yeah, we'll just play the intro music and then we'll get started. I'm trying to think if we covered some of this stuff last week. It's my only concern because I've not made a ton of progress. Just because there's so much stuff going on in my house. Okay, that is the intro music done. I'm not sure if we covered this last week, you know. Oh, I can't remember. We'll go for it anyways. It's about fishing in the UK. It's probably important.
Ships then. Now we're only the one, so it's a shame, really. It's sad.
Get Brexit done. Help the fishing industry. This country will be able to take back control of a massive industry.
Since Brexit, we've lost half the quota. We've had to lose half the crews, and half the earnings have gone now.
So with these quotas, these were quotas negotiated under the Common Fisheries Agreement or arrangement, however you want it, the CTA. And so what's happened is I think the areas of fish where UK fishermen would typically get the fish that people in Britain wanted are out of bounds because of the way the CCA has been set up now, or kind of the negotiations we got for access to the common fishing area.
Some of the guys that was working on board the ships have had to go find other jobs elsewhere with no help from anybody, no government help or anything. If we'd have been kept in the EU, we'd have been a lot better off. But a lot of the fishermen was conned, in my opinion, by the government saying that vote for us and you'll do better with us. And have done.
A lot of it was greed. A lot of it was they thought they would smoke the EU fisherman pack, where basically they would be able to take the quotas from the EU's fishermen, and then sell the fish essentially back to the EU, and that's what they thought would happen. But what they didn't realise is the opposite would, because you don't mess around with fishermen from certain countries. You just don't. Fishing's a very dangerous profession, and the people in these other countries would have fought for it. They would have fought for it. The French definitely would. I'm assuming a lot of the Scandinavian countries would as well. Like Norway, we tried to change the agreement we had with Norway, and Norway told us to get lost. They did not care.
Done worse, they've got nothing now. The EU took all that off us, so we lost all that quota.
The EU took it all off us. No, it's we took it from ourselves. Thank you, Darian DeStar, for the super sticker. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Darren is also a member of the channel. You can become a member from, I think it starts from £1, and you can have a cool emote like Kai's, like some of the people have in the chat. And there's 3 other ones that are almost as cool. No one's as cool as Kai.
It's sad really because we can't improve the industry anymore because there's nothing for them to catch. There's no fish for them to catch. The industry is finished now virtually. There's only the one ship left now in the UK, deep sea trawler. The rest are all fishing in the North Sea for mackerel, herring and different types of species of fish. 8 to 12% we supplied in the country.
Actually.
Well, them fish shops and hotels and everywhere want supplying, so they will go elsewhere for it. A lot of the fish they're getting now is from Norway, Iceland, Russia.
It's wild that we're buying Russian fish. I don't know if I covered this with you guys last week. It's actually mad we're buying Russian fish. You think that'd be covered in the sanctions, but you'd be wrong. It's just a bit bizarre.
It's coming in from them places, but we've lost out. They're taking our market, but we've got nothing. Round Hill alone, we had hundreds of fish shops, but they've all gone now because they can't afford to run them because if the fish now is that rare and it's more expensive to buy. And this is why we need more quota so we can help supply them, keep them small fish shops going. Since Brexit, when we lost the Norwegian quota, we're only in Norwegian waters in 2 weeks, then we have to go up into the Svalbard. The weather conditions in the Svalbard, in my experience over 45 years of fishing, 48 years of fishing, is you don't go up there in January, February. The weather's too bad. It's best to stay away. But
I mean, look how icy this is. Like, this is incredibly dangerous. If you fall over there, there's a strong possibility you will die.
They have to go fishing now because the government's pushed them into it. Let's see now.
In order to supply the fish that people want, this the areas they have to go into.
In the Svalbard in February, and you can see the sea starting to turn to slush. The temperatures was -24 at the time, -25. Before Brexit, we had the quota and we used to stay on the Norwegian coast. Still cold weather, bad weather, but was near to help if we needed help. When we were up in the Svalbard, in the Spitsbergen areas and that, there's no one there to help us if we get into difficulties. My grandson at my retirement party last year, he said, "Grandad, you've inspired me to go to sea." And I just turned around and said, "You're not going to sea."
These are, it's a generational profession. One of those industries where it's like their father will do it, their grandfather, their great grandfather, that kind of stuff. That's how big fishing is for certain towns and cities. To be honest with you, I think it's like that. Across the world, really, where fishing is the major is the profession of a family sometimes. And what we've lost here is just generational workers, like where there's outside of certain professions they have no, it's part of their identity and it's lost. That next generation of fishermen will not be able to, will never have a chance because it was taken away from them by people who are greedy. The problem for Irish fishermen, Maj, is now the unified front against Spain and French trawlers is gone, and they take the lion's share of catch of these waters. That's one of the things where they have to, Ireland has to fight for the quotas that it wants within the common travel area, because fishing is fish is such a big part of, I think, Spanish cuisine, and it's such a big part of French cuisine as well. Ireland has to, if you want a change to that, that's something where the government, the Irish government, would, I think, have to negotiate for that, in order to try and get a bigger share of those kind of quotas. And the other problem was, I think some of the Irish fishermen were very annoyed at the quotas that were given to Great Britain as well. If I remember that correctly, they weren't happy because it's all to do with the types of catches that people in the country typically eat. The ones around England, I think it's herring and sardines. British people don't typically eat them, even though I think sardines are great. And so they want whitefish, like cod and haddock. That's typically around Scandinavia. So the trade-off was, you would get access to the oilier fish that you guys like, we would get access to the whitefish that we like, and everyone kind of wins. But in the end, everyone's a loser, or Britain's really the loser, because we decided to botch a deal that really worked for us, and now we're paying a premium for these fish. And fresh fish does not last long, not at all. I saw this clip, I found it quite interesting, from Marcus Fish. He wants the liquidation of the Tory party.
A viable entity anymore. I think it's with the current composition, or the new composition of the party in Parliament, I don't think there is any chance that it will do the things that are required to actually be electable again. So whether it's making the most of actually being outside the EU, I don't think
doing what though? What is making the most of being outside the EU? What are you talking about?
The current crop of MPs will ever want to do that, and I don't think it's possible for a centre-right party that doesn't want to do that ever to be elected in the UK again. So I just think everyone's wasting their time with it, and I'm just calling it how I see it. Really, if it was my business, I would wind it up. I honestly don't think it's viable. I don't think it's. I just don't think it works anymore. I don't think there's political space for where the current crop of MPs want to be, which is on the centre-left SDP side of politics, the old.
The Tories want to be on the centre-left. What?
SDP.
Ireland owns 250 or 350 mile block of the North Atlantic off our coast. Good enough.
They are centre-left politicians, and that's where Labour is.
So you're suggesting
he thinks the Tory party are centre-left. This man's actually a lunatic. These people have no idea how the kind of political spectrum, in my opinion, works. It's just lunacy.
a move to the right is what the Conservative Party needs.
No, I'm saying that it needs to occupy that space, which is the centre-right and the centre, in a sensible way that is going to resonate with the population.
Well, Brexit is not going to do that. Brexit isn't that popular, I think, with kind of centrist people. So, these kind of more Lib Dem people, the problem was, it's the way you define how the political spectrum works. That's the issue. Where is, if you want to get rid of the two-child cap, is that a left-wing policy? Is that a centre-left policy? Is that, where does that really fall into? How far right is he if he thinks the current Tories are centre-left? He must be pretty far right, to be honest.
And speak human to them and be human about it. And that's not what reform is. And I don't think that is capable of doing that. But I don't think the current Conservative MPs want to be there. That isn't who they are. So
it sounds like he just had a pure stream of consciousness conversation. Marcus Fish saying, I hereby resign from the Conservatives. It's dead. No chance of being electable again with this current non-Conservative parliamentary composition. Move on, let's do something else. And he goes, I don't think anyone will notice the total videos, mate, you're a total weapon, which did make me laugh. But I don't see the point of it, to be honest with you. This one here. No, that's not it. I've just closed off the tab I wanted. This one here, I believe we've covered about O'Brien really pushing the boat out to defend Keir Starmer. Whoops. So we'll leave this one. I've got to do an actual video on it, but this is getting quite old, so I'm losing time on this one. This is more different. This is Kemi Badenoch suffering leaks. So essentially, what's been happening is, some of these shadow cabinet meetings have been briefed to the press, and we know some of the stuff Kemi Badenoch is saying. We don't know actually if it's been leaked or briefed, but we know the complaints around leaking have been leaked to the press.
We will be looking in the rearview mirror, but I'm not stopping yet because it's so much fun. And today's example is some very powerful.
I wonder, do you think he's going to cover the Labour Party more or the Tory Party more? Let's have a look. Let's do a poll, right? Who will? It's just this will be fun. I promise. Who will? Irish James O'Brien cover more? Let's see. Who do you guys think he's going to cover more?
Interventions from Kemi Badenoch at yesterday's Shadow Cabinet, where she was very rude about Suella Braverman, but I think something upon which we can all agree.
I think she said like Braverman's having a breakdown in America.
Is that she spoke very powerfully of the importance of not leaking information.
Thames Water about to charge the taxpayer for the leaks
To the media from Shadow Cabinet meetings. I know what you're thinking. How do you know that, James? Well, the answer is that it was leaked to the media.
That's the best thing about, when you get stories around leaking, is you find out that that party are mad about the leaks because someone else has leaked that exact thing.
By someone trying to make Kemi Badenoch look good. So if you needed to distill the current state of the Tory party down to a single event, it would be somebody, I'm not saying it was her, but it would be somebody who was present at the Shadow Cabinet meeting and really wants Kemi Badenoch to look good, leaking to the Times that Kemi Badenoch has...
That wouldn't be a leak, that would be more of a briefing, I think.
...called for an end to all leaking. And lots of other stuff designed to make her look good, including wondering out loud whether Suella Braverman is currently having some sort of breakdown in America.
I think she is. I think she is having a bit of a breakdown, to be honest with you. She's attacking, people, members of the LGBT community and things like that. I have no idea what the hell what she's doing. I'll be honest. I think she's lost. I think she's lost. She doesn't know how to kind of combat the disintegration of the Tories. Will Labour outlaw DWP sanctions? I don't think they will. The audience thinks he's going to cover the Tories more. That's wild. We got 11 votes and there's 19 people here, so we'll see if we get to 15 votes and then we'll call it there. We'll stop the count. There's more stuff here.
What's really remarkable is this new exclusive from Stephen Swinford. And he reports what Kemi Badenoch has had to say, using the first meeting of the Shadow Cabinet to criticise Rishi Sunak's election campaign. She feels that her colleagues are failing to grasp the enormity of the defeat suffered by the Conservatives, a historic defeat, of course, on election night. Of the many things she said Sunak's decision to call an early election without informing his cabinet bordered on unconstitutional. She said that instead of telling cabinet ministers first, he spoke to a small group of colleagues instead, including his PPS Craig Williams, who is, of course, the former MP who subsequently admitted placing a bet on the election date. She described Williams as a buffoon. She said that colleagues like Penny Mordaunt would still be MPs today if Rishi Sunak had not returned early from D-Day commemoration.
That's a big dig, and I think she's right. I think, given the fact that they really pissed off the veterans community, but I think what she's doing here is she's trying to portray herself as the sensible choice by saying, it wouldn't have been so bad if Sunak had actually listened to us and not been a complete moron. Braverman has seen how much money the Heritage Foundation has in the US, and she wants a piece, potentially, yeah. Suella strikes me as coming from an immigrant background family that wants to be more British than British people. I think so. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. To be fair,
admiration. So in other words, it cost them serious votes and serious personnel. She said the Tories were still clearly traumatised. She's accused Suella Braverman of having a very public nervous breakdown. Of course, we've heard those comments from Suella Braverman at the Conservatism conference. She said Rishi Sunak should stay on to ensure an orderly transition to his successor.
she's trying to make herself look good by saying these comments of this is where we went wrong, and we need some stability before we go into the next leadership contest. And she's taken a swipe at, the person who's most likely to be her leadership rival. So she started very early with this stuff.
Fascinating, because when I was in cabinet, you would the next day usually in the Times, and it was usually with Steve Swinford, you'd get a blow-by-blow account that actual members of the cabinet couldn't remember that level of detail. So clearly someone's writing down everything that's being said.
Or recording it.
Or recording it.
On the time,
No, that's a security risk of people recording it.
Had these leaks, I obviously have absolutely no idea where the leaks
they've come from
when they've come to me. But what somebody
But you
told
must
me...
know. I mean, you were in cabinet, and you will have conversations, presumably, where you go, well, who is it? Who do we think it is?
And
then presumably you go, Michael, was it you?
I was very close to Philip Hammond, actually, in the end of the sort of Theresa May era. I was his parliamentary private secretary, his sort of bag carrier. And actually one of my jobs was to try and figure out who was leaking. And it usually boiled down to one or two cabinet ministers.
Who?
And you knew who they were. I'm not going to say. I mean, you can't possibly comment on who they were.
Well, why not? I mean, they're not in cabinet anymore, are they?
And
That's brutal. That they're not in cabinet anymore, which is true.
And what I was amazed at with this leak of the shadow cabinet is that, half the people that with the old leakers have gone.
Yeah.
They've either stood down like me or they've lost their seats. So there's a whole bunch of new leakers who are starting immediately.
And how do
So yeah, they couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure it out. He's saying 3 people. So that means either you got really bad people in the cabinet, or you've narrowed it down to 3 people. Likely Tory leadership bad a notch. Here it is. Let's put this one. Let's put this one here. That would make more sense. So, leaked for Times, Sunak's early election without informing cabinet was borderline unconstitutional, which is not true. It's up to the Prime Minister. You literally, this moron, they got rid of the Fixed Term Parliament Act under Boris Johnson. So the Prime Minister could call an election wherever they wanted. This imbecile does not get that. Sunak leaving D-Day was disastrous and cost the Tories, like Penny Mordaunt, their seats. That is very true. PPS Craig William, who bet on the election, is a buffoon. When you attribute incompetence like that, it takes away from their actions, which I don't think he was a buffoon. I think he was he wanted to make a quick buck. Tories like Braverman are now traumatised and having very public nervous breakdowns. Sunak should stay on to ensure the leadership. Warned against leaks of shadow cabinet discussion, which we know was immediately leaked. So that's pretty funny, to be honest with you. This stuff is on the prisons.
What on earth was going on with your...
So I need to actually organise these. Oops. Sorry, that's my bad, guys. I had a second set up here regarding prisons. So yeah, this is they had a public spat. A row's broken out between Braverman and Badenoch after Badenoch accused the former of having a very public breakdown, and obviously using language like that as well is quite cutting, I think. Badenoch said some of her colleagues were failing to grasp the enormity of the party's general election defeat, which saw them slip to their lowest ever number of MPs, which is true. I don't think they have fully understood how big the gravity of the situation is. She says, it's the refuse to take... Braverman hit back at in a social media post saying Kemi and the rest of the cabinet should not have nodded along as they and Rishi Sunak took the party to disaster. The refusal to take responsibility is at the root of the problem. It's not someone else's fault. So this is pretty fun seeing these two actually fight it out. Genuinely 2 of the worst Tory MPs. I'm glad that they're getting cooked. Honestly, let's see, makes sense. We had the same type in Ireland. It said they took the king's shilling. Braverman is trying to be a perfect daughter of empire. Yeah, father was a Commonwealth officer. Ew. There was a comedy show, goodness gracious me, some years ago that was made by South Asian comedians. One of their sketches was about Asian who wanted to be more British than the British. Yeah, there are people that exist. Like they're just like the term coconut is a racist. I think people see it as a racist term. it's not. I think my friend put it better. He said people are culturally, there might be their ethnicity might be one thing, but culturally they're a different thing. And I think I agree. I agree with that. I think I agree with that. I think that's probably the best way to put it, a more PC way to put it. We've got 16 votes in the poll, so I'm going to end the poll, and it's 50-50. So half of you think O'Brien's going to cover the Tories more. Half of you think he's going to cover Labour more. Interesting. It's not great for O'Brien, to be fair, hearing that, but I doubt he cares. This is about the prison problems.
Your administration, Sir Robert, that we got to this pitiful state with our jails. Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Well, first of all, I think it's right to say that we have been here before with overcrowding. We got here in 2009, just before the Conservative government, coalition government came in, and
culturally appropriated, maybe.
Labour government had to use police cells. It's right that over the last 14 years we've not reached this point. Shabana, with respect to her, she's the new Justice Secretary. I wish her well, but if she's going to just point the finger of blame at the past, that's not going to be good enough, because
you've had 14 years
government
in power.
Nick Ferrari is absolutely going to smoke him here. And the other thing is, she's only just come in. You can't expect her to be able to fix the problem, especially when you guys have left the country with a very broken state.
Oh, Sir Robert, not you personally, but 14 years.
Yes, but we didn't hit a problem like this during that period.
How many new prisons were built on the Conservatives' watch?
You literally did. There weren't enough places to put new prisoners in. That was the problem. So what Labour are doing is letting some prisoners out in order to make space for new ones.
In the time that I was in charge, we built one. We were on our way to open the second one.
That's hardly a huge prison building programme, is it, Sir Robert?
Nick, it's frustrating. We're going to need more. And I'll tell you why we need more. We need more to replace some of this ancient Victorian estate in central London and other areas.
So why didn't you do that? You had 14 years in charge.
Which you've had control of for 14 years.
Look, I accept that, but I wasn't going to be...
Why would you sling mud now, having been in a position until last week, not you personally necessarily, but you and your colleagues, to do something about it?
Look, I'm not slinging mud, and I did a lot about it in order to, first of all, make sure that the most serious offenders were locked up for longer. At one point, they were only being locked up...
If you want people locked up longer, you need to increase prison capacity. It's not hard to figure out.
For half of the sentence, I made sure that was 2/3, because I believe that prisons should be there to protect the public. But at the same time, I don't think it's good for either party at this stage to sling mud at each other.
Okay. So, Tom tugging his hat. In what world is releasing 20,000 criminals onto our streets a good idea? Here you've got Tom tugging his hat being hit by a reader's note, context on Twitter. The chief of the Metropolitan Police said that proposed release is expected to be around 5,000 cells, are necessary to avoid a really dangerous situation. Sunak's government released 10,000 prisoners between early October 23 and 24. And then you've got the secret barrister saying, a world in which Tom's government dismantled the criminal justice system through a decade of underfunding. Really, it's over a decade of underfunding, leaving our prisons overflowing. In what world is Tom's own government released 10,000 criminals into our streets for the same reasons? Because they didn't build enough prison capacity at all. And this person was saying there was a backlog of cases during COVID and the barrister strike. They had gone through as expected. It would have been a much flatter trend. Okay, he's trying to claim that it's the fault of the barristers and COVID. Completely false. According to the barrister, the prison population is projected to soar to over 100,000 because of the increase in police numbers and the government ratcheting up sentences. So that person there, who is Dave Gore, got absolutely smoked, and he comes back again, but we'll leave him be. But it's not great. 10,000 people who didn't pay the BBC what? Yeah, we did several times. Culture. Let's see, what else is there? Let's see if we've got anything more on the prisons, to be fair. Yeah, let's put this over here. Sorry guys, I'm just having to realise these tabs. Didn't realise I put up so many Braven tabs. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, let's carry on. Oh, we should be okay from here. Starmer asked about the two-child cap.
Another £3 billion for Ukraine that you're going to keep to that every year. You've talked about that being a choice to make that a priority. You've also made a choice not to spend a similar amount of money on child poverty. That's how much scrapping the two-child benefit would cost. How do you justify that?
I think it's important that we don't...
Any government that builds a new prison will have opposition arguing it could have been a hospital, never been a vote in prison reform. Fingers crossed that Timson bloke. I think what it will do, they'll look at decriminalising certain crimes. They'll look at more kind of the Dutch system, which I think is more focused on house arrest as well as rehabilitation. I believe Ferrari has turned into a very effective Tory. Do you know, sometimes, right, Nick Ferrari will come out with a really, but by you know, kind of TV, like there are levels to this. So as far as, you know, TV and radio go, sometimes he does put up a good interview where he'll ask follow-up questions and stuff. Dervish is probably the best one. I think I've said that consistently. She's probably been the best one by country mile. I think Ridge fell off. Rigby's not good. Kay Burley is on and off at times. I'm trying to think of who else is good at interviews. Matlis, I think, fell off. Goodall can be good sometimes. Lewis Goodall. Krishnam is good. I don't watch enough Channel 4 though. Isn't he the concrete farm? No, that's no. That's not Nick Ferrari. Put some respect on Nick Ferrari's name. He's not the concrete guy. That's Mike something else. I can't remember his name. I think is the concrete guy's a legend though. Absolute hero.
Underestimate the threat of Russian aggression in Ukraine. That is a threat not just to Ukraine, although it is of course a threat to Ukraine. It's a threat to our values. It is important that all of us, all of the NATO allies, increase our resolve.
That's it. Mike Graham. I was going to say Mike something else, but that's a pro-EU guy. Mike Graham, that's it.
Meet that Russian aggression wherever it is.
But you could pay for that, and you could tackle child poverty. You could tax people with estates worth more than £10 million, just 1%. Only the wealthiest would be affected. That would more than pay for scrapping that two-child cap. Why won't you do that?
Well, in relation to child poverty, obviously, I want to ensure that no child grows up in poverty. And
well, you know, that's aspirational. You know, the Tories could say the same thing. We don't want any children to grow up in poverty. It's what are you going to do about it?
We'll have a very clear strategy to deal with that.
You don't have a very clear strategy. That's the problem, Keir.
Of course, be about the money coming into each household. It will be about housing. It'll be.
This is an easy fix, isn't it? It would make a big difference.
Oh, there's no
300,000 children.
It's literally an easy fix. It's you know, like honestly, $3 billion to Ukraine. I think the two-child cap saves $2.5 billion. It's a no-brainer to us. I'm not saying we should stop arming Ukraine. We should stop helping them, but we should be. If we're not in a position to do both, then the country's in dire straits. And the fact that they're putting child poverty there really is just a horrible situation, honestly. So we go to the Greens about decriminalising drugs. This is one of the things that could actually fall into prison reform. So let's move this here.
A lot of people in prison are in there for minor offences, petty offences, or minor drug offences. Do the panel think that maybe they would benefit from a different punishment, and could maybe perhaps the Greens' policy of decriminalising drugs actually help with that issue?
I think it's a great question, because I think for possession of like intent to use is different from intent to supply. Reminds me of Ash in Alien saying, "You have my sympathies." There's no magic money tree yet. There's magic arms factories. That is true. You know, Rolls-Royce got to get their money somehow.
When you leave, you get some support within prison, and then you're handed over, and it feels like falling off a cliff. It really chimes with some of the work I've done, which has been talking with and listening to women leaving prison. It is. The Howard League has described the entire criminal justice system as being on the precipice of failure, and what do you think should be done? There's no linking up, and each of these are real people's lives, and women being sent to prison for short sentences often lose their home and their children. That has enormous impacts, harming society for many, many years to come. These people are worth investing in, and it
So what
needs
are you
something
saying?
from the
Are we
new
saying
government.
that fewer people should go to
So
prison?
just releasing people from prison to cure the.
There should be a transition period for people leaving prison. That should happen. I thought they have like probation officers and things like that. I don't get it. Is that once you're out of prison, you're just done. Like, you're just out. There's no one kind of checking on you, just making sure you're okay. Things like that.
Incredibly poor conditions that there are within current prisons because of overcrowding. The local prison to me in Brighton has seen nearly a
Damn, I'm actually amazed Brighton has a prison.
70% increase in violence between prisoners in recent years.
So
The
I'm just
prison
wondering what you
population
think.
has
Is it build
doubled.
more prisons? Is it send fewer people to prison? What
It is help people in
Hey, Brucey's actually doing good follow-up questions here as well.
ways that are not prison, and help people who are leaving prison to genuinely start new lives. And if we're talking about the causes of crime, I mean, there are criminals who are criminals out there, but there are also many people in prison for crimes that are driven by poverty, by austerity, by not being invested in.
This is why austerity is just a bad policy all round, because it causes all sorts of societal problems.
By the whole of society. And
Programs exist but are stretched beyond visibility. Okay.
feeling hopeless, and we can cure that with more investment in people. But this is over to the Labour government. We have to see more day-to-day spending on public services, and they're not currently promising that. And I hope that Peter will go away and join his cabinet ministers.
And he'll say there's no magic money tree. The Greens are a bunch of kooks. That's what he'll say. This I found quite interesting. You know, I think the Greens are overall good. Should we cover this one? Yeah, might as well.
Something with second homes, making those more affordable to people, and you know, there's a lot of property that goes unused in a lot of towns and cities.
This is the point about buying homes. There are many, many homes that ought to be brought into use as social housing, and councils are very, very willing, when they've got the grants available, to go and buy those and turn them into real social housing.
You're talking about people, sorry,
And, you know, some of these places, not just second houses, it's just empty buildings, like completely vacated buildings. Why shouldn't the council be able to buy these buildings at a cut price and actually do something with them?
you're talking about people who have two houses.
Moving homes that are second homes into primary homes, not secondary homes that are only populated 1 or 2 weeks a year.
Right,
yeah, exactly that. And
Holiday homes, really, he's talking about.
then also, we've got the problem of genuine affordability, which is when you build homes, setting the level right, but also we need rent controls so that places like Brighton, where the housing crisis is absolutely out of control.
Yeah, there's a lot of people moving from London to Brighton, you know, and it's pricing people out of Brighton as well. And they kind of, it pushes people out further and further.
Have the ability at a local level to say what a fair rent is and enforce that. And if we had that, that would make an enormous difference to so many people's lives. They're struggling so much in the private rented sector, and that's a growing tenure. We need to switch things back to real council housing and make sure that people are able to save up to buy, which basically no one in the private rented sector can at the moment.
This is honestly a really good answer, and this is why I'm glad the Greens did well in the last election, are getting platformed a bit more. They will push that conversation more to the left. I already covered this one about Braveman. This one is Kwasi Kwarteng getting cooked like he cooked the economy.
There's one other category which really counts, which is the big figure donors.
The donors, that's
and
right.
if they say to him, "Look, Joe, you're not the man for November," then that can make a big impact.
And he's trying to see that off by saying they're the elites.
But I think again, like, we're here still talking about the same conversation and not thinking about the people who he's meant to represent as the electorate. And I think that increasing their living standards is what's important.
Agreed.
And if we're not actually pushing him to change policy that will actually address the needs of the American people,
But that's
then
a wider
what we're
political
talking
policy.
about.
I mean, that isn't related to his age. I mean, that's related to the political positions he's adopted. And I think any person who was the Democratic candidate would face exactly those pressures, because clearly Gaza is a huge issue, as it was here.
Yeah.
In terms of the left coalition.
The left coalition, it's not just people on the left, pal.
That they rely on to win the election.
Yeah, and I think I would just say then, if we're going to replace Joe Biden with someone else, we're going to have the same policy issues, and we should still be putting.
Which is the key problem. It's the policy problems. You know, for normie voters, I think it's the fact that his brain is melting. But I think for kind of the more hardcore base, they're the ones who are not going to turn out.
pressure on, and that's important. And I think also that I'm not sure if we should be taking advice from someone who crashed the economy in a few days of being in the job as a councillor.
I know you want.
I don't think it's too bad having him on, like in this context, as kind of like more of a pundit, but you know, like it should be brought up every time he's on. He's the guy who crashed the economy. Yeah, he has no shame. To be fair, Liz Truss is just as bad. Liz Truss is arguably worse, I think, in some ways. This is a man who's angry. He's a NIMBY, but he's angry that there's not enough housing because of people like him.
Mr. Cross.
Excellent.
But I just wonder why I was Mr. Cross.
Yes.
A few years later.
I can tell you why.
Fantastic.
So the background is when we moved into our house about 20 years ago, semi-rural area, we had a lovely open aspect to the back with horses grazing, all the rest of it. And lo and behold, a few years ago, planning application went in. I tried everything. I got Cross hot under the collar, several hundred houses.
Petition? Did you start a petition?
I didn't have a petition. I wrote in about light pollution, about noise, about traffic, about drainage.
Yes.
No, he's not. I don't think he's a landlord. You'll see it soon.
Great-crested newts, even.
Oh, yes.
And so I pulled everything. But in any case, it went ahead, and I was worried about what would it be like having houses 10 metres away from the back border and all the rest of it. But I honestly can't remember now what it was like before. I can vaguely remember it wasn't nice, but
sure.
I honestly can't remember. He
didn't want to have his view obscured. He didn't want to have his house price fall down or his land value go down.
We're just used to it. There's additional noise, not much. There's additional traffic, not much, and we're just used to it. And the only reason I was ringing is because I thought, well, I invested so much time being cross and angry, and then I realised that, well, I've got kids and grandkids. They need somewhere to live, and
there it is, guys. There it is. You realise how this kind of impacted his family, his kids, because they might be able to afford to live where he lives, because it probably would be quite expensive. And obviously getting planning permission and things like that, they might not be able to expand the housing stock that they have. And so that means those houses have an inflated value. And now he finally gets it because, it took him a long time. He's got kids, grandkids is like, they can't visit me as much because they live too far away because they can't build housing where we live.
One of them was bought a house on a new estate.
Oh, how fantastic. That really is symmetrical then, isn't it?
And that's it, really. And I'm just thinking, to hell with it. I'm fully supportive of the government trying to build new houses, and if they have to,
just nuts. These people are just deranged. This is Star Wars comment to the Muslim community. This is really bad as well.
A significant landslide at the general election, but in areas where there's a high Muslim population, Labour either lost seats.
This is the pull clip. So this is basically all the TV broadcasters will push this out as a statement from the Minister of the Day or the Prime Minister.
Share slash. Do you accept that there's a problem with the relationship between the Labour Party and British Muslims at the moment?
Well, the first thing I'd say is this.
So note the question about the Labour Party and the Muslim community, okay? I want you guys to remember that.
Very many people voted Labour in that general election who've never voted Labour before. So we now hold seats in parts of the country that have never had a Labour MP. So this is an incredible...
And do you think they'll vote Labour again?
Incredibly strong mandate.
You have 36% of the vote. I would not be pushing the mandate.
Of course, wherever we weren't able to secure votes, I'm concerned about that. But this is a clear mandate for change, for renewal, for a different way of doing politics and a return of politics.
So note, he was asked about the Labour Party and Muslim voters. Has he addressed the question?
To service. The days of self-entitlement and self-interest are over. And I'm really pleased to put a strong team on the pitch to start our work and to be completing here in Wales my visits to Scotland, to Northern Ireland and Wales.
What's that got to do with Muslim voters?
What about the issue with British Muslims? Truss has clearly broken down there. The election results show that. What are you going to do to try and rebuild it?
Well, we've got a strong mandate. Of course, where we didn't secure the votes, we'll address that. But I don't think there's any disputing the strength of the mandate that we have.
Oh, it's okay. What he's saying is, because we won, we don't care. You know what he's saying? This is it. Look, I'm going to show you. Look, this is one of my favourite clips. This is what he's saying, guys. And you know what? I'm going to play this in the actual video as well. What he's saying is this.
I'm here to tell you right now.
Oops, it's on 2x speed for some reason. Oh, that's probably because me. Oh, let's play it again. This is what he's saying.
I'm here to tell you right now. We don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Jerry.
Let's play it again.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
That's it. You know, yeah, I could play the explicit version of this if you guys want. Do you know what? Let's do that as well. Screw it. Why not? Let's have some fun. We're quite far into this stream. That's it. This is it.
There's a chance someone is going to see you. And there's a chance...
I'll just play the audio, guys. I don't need the video. Do you know, actually, I like Santan Dave's acting in this, so let's play the video as well.
How many fucking times do I have to tell you? I don't care.
There you go. Oops. Nope. Ooh.
How many fucking...
Whoops, don't need that again. But yeah, that's it. That's the explicit version of it. Is how many times do I tell you we don't care?
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
There you go. We've got a strong mandate. You know, we don't care. The former Labour MP who lost the Green leader got more airtime than the person she lost to. Oh, you talking about Fangam Debonair? Yeah, she has got a lot of airtime, to be fair. See live tab for my mandate comment. Top chat censored it. I can't see what you're rejected by 80% of the population. Is that it? But yeah, I won't play the Smith comment again. But you got Apsana Begum responding to the clip, saying it's an awful response. She goes, "This is an awful response from Keir and lacks any acknowledgement of the needs to build trust amongst British Muslims who feel that Labour has let them down. Labour's position on Gaza, especially Starmer's infamous comments about Israel's right to cut off electricity to Gaza, came up over and over again during the election across the country and clearly lost Labour votes. There is no doubt that lots of voters have serious concerns about Starmer's record on Gaza, Islamophobia, migration, amongst a number of other issues. This was an opportunity for Keir to assure British Muslims he was listening, an opportunity he ignored." And you know, these people could say, "Oh, why don't you just leave the party?" and stuff like that. And you're like, do what? You know, last time someone did that with Faiza Shaheen and she ran, you know, democratically allowed to. You guys got mad at her. But yeah, you know, it's just ridiculous. I don't get why he couldn't just address the question, genuinely. You know, this is the Labour Party claiming they're actually going to win the battle on NIMBYs.
I think that the two are in conflict. A central government getting things done and respecting power where it is outside of Westminster. So where there is, there is metro mayors, there are regions, there is local authorities, and there are countries in the United Kingdom.
So why is Angela Rayner writing to local mayors to say, actually, you know what, just pass these things across my desk just to make sure you come to the right
What we want to do is make sure that these are partnerships, rather than always working against each other, that they are partnerships. Now, there are some local authorities who want to build things, but they've been prevented from doing so, including onshore wind farms. Though some local authorities have wanted to do it, but it is the central government that's been the block to it. What we're saying is, not only are we going to lift the block, we will be an assertive partner on your behalf to try and get these things done. Because we have just won an election, and this was in our manifesto. There are expectations that when it comes to the infrastructure of the future, whether it be digital, whether it be water and gas, which we've seen a lot of problems with as well, or whether it is the energy of the future, that we will be a government that uses the power that we have. We want local authorities to use the power they have, but there is a very particular power that comes with a Westminster government that has just won a decisive victory on a manifesto that promises these kind of changes.
It sounds like you are prepared to override local concerns then, aren't you? That's the...
I think this is what the government has to do, though. Like, ultimately, the country needs infrastructure. Ultimately, the country needs infrastructure. So are you not going to build nuclear power plants because some people don't want it near them? Are you not going to build prisons because people don't want it near there? Are you not going to build schools and hospitals? Like, really, like, these are fundamental building blocks to any society. Are you going to say, just because a bunch of NIMBY said, "Oh, this is a weird shot," because their eyes are both closed at the same time, are you really going to do that? Because at some point, you have to overrule local authorities. Now, we've seen that with the Greens. This is the stuff that actually does piss me off quite a lot. Greens, block, solar farm, stuff like this. It's like, how stupid do you have to be to do something like this? You know, the green politician politicians who oppose solar farms. Where's the crux of the article? So Frank Adlin Stringer is one Green councillor who opposed a solar farm in the past, explaining he could not support a solar farm in the country. He said the loss of green space and the restriction of already limited habitats were among the main concern. But ultimately, these habitats will be lost because of climate change. Like, it doesn't make sense. These people genuinely make no sense when they say stuff like this. I don't get it. And there's more as well. It's not just this one. There were more policies that they blocked. I had them on Twitter. There was a block. They blocked a road or something like that. Road. Green. Let's see if I can find it. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to party. Oh, I give up. Let's see. Against trains. Oh, I can't find it. There was some stuff I had. Do you know what? If you can indulge me for a minute or two, I'll try and find it on Twitter. This will be the last thing we discuss anyways. Reform and bad notch Tory party will unite and create an effective opposition. I don't think they will. I think they're going to be... You had one party who was in charge and should have done stuff. And you had another party which is going to just completely antagonise Labour. Angela Rayner has been frozen out of everything. Oh, what a shock! What a shock, guys! They hate Rayner. They I told you this stuff for I think the last 2 years. I think since maybe even 3 years. I told you this after the loss in the local election. Who is surprised by this? No one. I'll see if I can find the Green tweet because No Justice posted it or she retweeted something about it. I don't have anything to entertain you guys with, so I'm just gonna keep rambling until I either find it or lose my patience and cannot find it. So I don't know which one you guys are thinking is gonna happen first. I can't put a poll up either because I have to actually look for this. So if you bear with me, give about another 20 seconds. Where is this stupid tweet? Did I not retweet it? Oh no, it was such a good one as well. Oh, where is it? There's stuff on Labour and the National Wealth Fund that I need to cover as well, which is not great. Where is it? Alright. Oh, I'm so annoyed. Oh, I don't think I have it, guys. I'm so sorry. I've wasted everyone's time here. No, I haven't. Haha! I have not wasted everyone's time. I found it. I found the thing I'm looking for. Oh, there's one more story as well. This is it. We will push Labour to be bolder on the environment. Sorry, guys. I did find it. I promise you, I did find it. See, here it is. He goes, Green MP opposes a 100-mile corridor of wind farm pylons in his Suffolk constituency. Aidan Ramsey, the party's co-leader, will go against the government's net zero plans. He goes, leaving aside the utility of the policy itself, electorally winning over rural Tories on ultra-low local issues for short-term gain over strengthening support amongst urban millennials, where every second place result is not the long-term strategy. So she's saying electorally it makes no sense, and utilitarianism, that's not the word, but for the benefit of the people, it's not good. She says Twitter is glued to the Tory grass framing of this. Well, yeah, on the BBC, seem to actually want to be unbiased in their questioning. So what I'm arguing for is a pause while the other options are considered, because of course we need the infrastructure. It's a matter of doing the right thing in the right way for the long-term benefit. Meanwhile, Mr Ramsey welcomed the decision by Labour to lift a de facto ban on onshore wind, saying this is welcome. But the thing is, it's where, in his Suffolk constituency. So they're happy to have this green infrastructure. Do they want it where they are? No. I think that's the answer. It's NIMBYism. And that's the thing that's always going to hamper the Green Party. They're never going to be able to escape the stereotype that they're a bunch of middle-class people who are concerned with things like the climate emergency, because they haven't got much else better in their lives to deal with. They don't care about the average person. And that's what costs them votes in the end. They're too dumb to understand electoral politics. You know, the way you deal with things like the energy crisis and things like that, or you know, climate change is through the economy. You know, you use it to benefit people. You know, you can have incentives or sanctions. That's the way. And if you incentivize people to go green, they'll take it. If you sanction people for not going green, they will hate you. They will 100%. They will hate you for it. And so you see that with the plastic straws versus paper straws. People are so mad, and I'm mad as well about the paper straws because apparently they can't even be recycled. I don't get the point of them. But yet you still have people flying around on private jets and things like that. You know, things that I think are more damaging to the environment. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. We'll go to our last clip actually, and this is one I wanted to cover because it's just gotten so bad.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin.
So you can see he's caught himself there, talking about 2 seconds. The fact that everyone in the audience is applauding this is crazy, and these are the people enabling this. These are the people enabling this. Everyone who's applauding here, because they know he misspoke.
We're going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway.
He can tell his brain caught up with him. It took a couple of seconds. But word is one of his aides told him he'd goofed. He'll probably get rid of that aide because he doesn't get it. He doesn't realise. This is the thing with this kind of... I'm not an expert on this, right? 100% I'm not. But I think these kind of illnesses is where your brain slowly deteriorates, but you don't realise it. You don't realise that you've lost a step. You don't realise like you're not as sharp as you once were. And so what that means is that when you make mistakes like this, you think it's a one-off, but it's really not. It's a pattern of behaviour. A poor debate performance he kind of tried to explain away because of jet lag and things like that. It doesn't make any sense. All these gaffes don't mean much when it comes to Biden. He's been making gaffes for 50 years. This is not new, but I think it's excessive now. It's more and more. It's happening more and more. I think that's the problem. Doing once in a while, you know, you can get away with that, but it's the fact that you can just tell when you see him. It's more than gaffes. He's slow. He doesn't. You can tell. You can see it. He's not 100% there. He genuinely isn't. Isn't he like? Yeah. He'll be 85 potentially. It gets worse, to be fair, Darian, and this is the same conference.
That your decline has become noticeable. Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America's standing in the world? Thank you.
Did you see any damage to our standing in my leading this conference? Have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, Putin. I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky.
What concern?
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, he caught himself, which is good. It's a good sign, the fact that he caught himself. But the fact that he made that mistake is not great. And it's when it's a one-off, you get away with it. When it's a pattern of behaviour, it's not good.
Do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
So, Vice President Harris was named specifically, and the fact that she's obviously a lady.
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be Vice President. I think she was not qualified to be president.
He didn't catch this one. I didn't pick Vice President Trump to be Vice President. What? Like, there's no excuse. This is the same event. This is within like probably within about half an hour of each other.
So let's start there. I'm not having any of my European allies come up to me and say, Joe, don't run.
Obviously, they're not going to say that, you Nimrod. You know, you're the one everyone's relying on. You're the one. You're the hitmaker here. You're the one everyone's relying on because you got the big military. That's why no one's going to question America. No one who's relying on them, because at the end of the day, Europe needs America. Europe is terrified of Russia, especially after the invasion of Ukraine. Especially the fact that certain countries have not pulled their weight when it comes to defense spending. Looking at you, Germany. They are terrified of not having America as an ally because they have the world's most powerful military. It's not hard to, first of all, when a country's going through an election, generally politicians don't have anything negative to say about the leaders in those elections. They don't want to do that in case the person who they are being mean to loses. or sorry, wins. Like in the case of Donald Trump, where you've got David Lammy kind of cozying up to MAGA Republicans because he's trying to curry favor with them in case Joe Biden loses, right? So they're not going to say anything negative, especially not to the United States of America. One of the massive problems with this is that the media are looking at Biden, but ignoring Trump, who can stumble. The thing is, with Trump, that was normal for him. Trump's whole thing was he just stumbled and he slurred, and that was part of his character. You remember, man, woman, camera, person, TV. Now we know how Netanyahu had, evidently. Germany usually declares a world war. Well, to be fair, no one really declares a world war. You lose real quick.
What I hear them say is, you've got to win. You can't let this guy come forward. It'd be a disaster.
Because everyone's terrified. No one wants to fight the Russians on their own.
It'd be a disaster. We've never been here before. And that's the other reason why you say, hand off to another generation. I've got to finish this job.
You already finished, bro. It's done. You don't have nothing left for you to prove. It's over.
Finish this job because there's so much at stake.
And I think that's what's driving him on. That he thinks there's more for him to do. Like maybe he doesn't think the next generation is ready, even though they should be. The Gen Xers, really should be them. That are running most things at this point. Maybe some of the older millennials would have things like in America, I guess it would be houses within the House of Representatives or seats in the House of Representatives. Maybe you'd have some kind of senators, but realistically, it would still be the Gen Xers. To balance this out, why not run some clips from Biden's speech last night? Biden was on fire. What speech where? To balance this out, should I do what's called a neutrality bias? Like it doesn't make sense. Let's see, Biden's speech. Let's type this up, right? Let's see what comes up on Google when I type this in. Biden speech. Bernie Sanders backs Biden. Biden is teetering. I'm running vows Biden. Are you talking about the White House press conference? Is this what you're talking about? It won't be just Russia. Yeah, China and North Korea as well. The Iranians. Everyone's looking at this. Biden gave a speech in Detroit. Magnificent speech. All right, let's have a look. Look at the headline. Biden avoids further gaffes at Detroit. At Detroit rally. Right? And we got a video of this. A gaff-free night. We're celebrating a gaff-free night. A teleprompter speech. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can find a video of it. Oh, it's on Fox. We're not going to watch all of this, obviously. I'm not doing that. Watch about a few minutes of it. Let's see.
I say transformative because when our nation
are killed by a bullet than any other reason in America. They die for that for more than anything else. Any disease, any problem. It's sick.
Top 5
Above
of
all
the
else,
Pope good old days.
We're going to stand up for our Constitution and save our democracy.
Reading is the last thing you lose from Parkinson's. I would have no idea.
Folks, you probably noticed there's a lot of speculation lately. What's Joe Biden going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? Here's my answer. I am running, and we're going to win. I'm not going to change that. In fact, just today, the Marist poll released a national poll that has me beating Trump 50-48.
Yeah, national polling doesn't matter when you have a deranged system like you guys have.
I don't know all those drop-offs that took place. There's so much of my narrative, my campaign has fallen apart, they say. I'm the nominee of the Democratic Party, the only Democrat or Republican who has beaten Donald Trump ever. And I'm going to beat him again. I know him. Donald Trump is a loser.
That's facts, to be fair. But he has won more general elections than Hillary Clinton. So what does that make her?
I'm the nominee of this party because 14 million Democrats like you voted for me in the primaries. You made me the nominee, no one else, not the press, not the pundits, not the insiders, not donors. You, the voters, you decided, no one else. And I'm not going anywhere. I learned a long time ago that when you get knocked down, you get back up.
It's good. It's a good speech. There's not much substance here, but you know he's got emotion at least. Like you can, he's here at least.
I've led this nation from the depths of the pandemic to the strongest economy literally in the world.
I mean, to be fair, when Trump was there, it was also the strongest economy in the world.
And we're not done yet. We're not done yet. I have to finish the job and do what that's what we're going to do. Folks, let me tell you something about Donald Trump and his friends down in Mar-a-Lago.
Is this some WWE shit? What's going on here?
Wall Street didn't build this country. You did, the working people, and the middle class built this country. And unions built the middle class. That's a fact. That's a fact. Folks, I'm proud to say I'm the first and only president in American history to walk a picket line.
It's embarrassing that is, but no other ones did it.
Because I know when labor does well, everybody does well. That's not hyperbole. I came to Michigan to walk that picket line. I stood shoulder to shoulder with the United Auto Workers, the greatest auto workers in the world. And I want you to know, I promise you, I give you my word as a Biden, I'll always have your back because you've always had mine. Remember what Donald Trump did when I was here walking the picket line? He gave a speech at a non-union shop. So when Trump comes here to tell you how great he is for the auto industry, remember this. When Trump was president, we lost 86,000 jobs with unions. And I created 275,000 auto jobs in America.
I think, you know, you can tell he's kind of reading off the prompter a bit. A lot. I think these pauses are really helping him read the next line.
In fact, what's been true in the auto industry is true all over America. Since I became president, we've created nearly 16 million new jobs nationwide. 390,000 of those jobs right here in Michigan.
Yeah, Pew Research pretty good, I think. We're going to call it here. I think, Darian, to be fair to you, this is a lot better, but this is the standard. This is what it should be. You know, like that's the bare minimum. It's not the bare minimum. That is the minimum you ask for a politician to be able to give a competent speech. When you're out here making gaffes of this level, you know, multiple gaffes in one sitting, it's just really bad. 90 killed in Israeli airstrike targeting a military chief. I mean, this is where, you know, they talk about precision munitions. A complete joke. Not precise at all. Francesca did a bot showing all the times he reads the cues, like pauses for applause. Yeah, you know, honestly, you can tell by the way he speaks. He's not good on the fly, and you know, in these kind of TV debates, he'll be asked questions about on the fly. He's done. You think he's done? You think it's over for him? I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. The whole thing is any polling doesn't mean much at the moment in the US. In September, things will be more representative. Things are still there are still Americans who don't know an election time. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think it's good to look at the polls to see what people are thinking now. Like, a poll is just a snapshot, a thought in a moment. That's all it really is. But I'm gonna call it a day because I'm absolutely shattered. I've been up since about 6 a.m. So you know, I've had a long day. And I've got to go eat something. With the Biden stuff, it's not too promising. I'll be honest. The next debate will be stupid emote. Will say a lot. I think it will. I think he's got to wherever. The thing is, you can't be on a teleprompter in a debate. A debate really exposes who you are, how competent you are. That's the thing. And I think if he has another lackluster performance, it's Jova. This what it'll be. Wait, let me see. I'll find it. Wait. Don't go yet. It's Jova. But anyways, I'll catch you guys September 10th. That's far away, to be fair. That's far away. The Pink Floyd song "Comfortably Numb" comes to mind, or "I've Become So Numb," or in the end, it doesn't even matter. But yeah, I'll catch you guys next Saturday. I'll try and clear out all these tabs as well. QA would tell me off all of this. I'll catch you guys next Saturday. Bye bye.